Hi guys, so this is a little video about using a sketchbook page. It's not specific to any project that you're doing, but you should be able to use these skills in all your work. Before we get started, I thought we'd have a little chat about why you have a sketchbook. It's really for an artist where you kind of work things out, experiment, try things, make decisions. I'm going to try and show you how you can use your page to do that. Today I've got a sketchbook and I've got it in landscape because that's going to fit really well on our video. I know in the school I work in, where I am, it makes more sense. You normally have them up portrait like that and you can work down your page. It's up to you. Choose how you're going to use your page to suit your job. Before I start, I did art at college when I was much younger, and I've been on my shelves and I've managed to find some sketchbooks. They're looking quite old and battered now. This was for a jewellery project, and I hope you can see quite how much writing there is in this. Note taking is really important to show your process, to show your thinking. So these are some photographs I'd taken, these are some artists' work. These are some newspaper clippings and some experiments where I had iron, some plastic. You can see some colours, some strips again. Lots of things stuck in, and then my thoughts and notes about it. I'm just going to quickly flick through a couple. I found all these on my shelves. I didn't know I still had them. Again, I've got a couple of postcards I'd brought from a gallery and a clipping from a newspaper. And then I've had a go myself at drawing this section from a photograph. So I've put a little frame on it and then I've drawn it in several different ways and said what I thought about it. When somebody looks at it, they can see my process, but also for me, when I was working, it was really, really useful. It was the way I did my thinking with my paintbrush and with my pencil. So this was a sculpture project. It started, looking at tessellating and people's work. And it goes all the way through to experiments. I've used bits of paper stuck in on top of each other. And if you can see that, I've got a tracing paper to make my tessellation, trying to copy artist's work and try and put that in my own way. And then these are some of my ideas as we went through. I know this one's a little bit big to see on here. But again, as you can see as I go along, it's got a little bit of paper at the top. Tells me what was going on, why I did it. So this is about an artist called Klimt, and could I use the tessellating shape to work with that. And then as I go further on, there's all my experiments and little notes as I go through. So I thought it would be helpful for you to see how my sketchbook, just for one project, and it's pretty thick, this one, and pretty big. So I still use a sketchbook for lots of my projects that I'm doing at home, and I thought I would just flick through one of those for you. Nobody's going to look at my sketchbook now I'm at home, so I write a few less notes, but I hope you can see that it's a sort of safe place where I can try things out, try projects I'm going to do. These are some creatures I made, some sculptures. These are some mosaics I made. Not everything in here turns into something, but it's a sort of free place to draw, to sketch, to come up with ideas and to try things out. Again, there's lots of little ones there before I went and did a big design. Some notes with that one, and these are some designs for some stained glass I did. So I wanted you to see this one because it's got little birds in, and that's what I'm going to base mine on today. I'm going to base mine on a project we've just been doing in art club. Okay, so if you've got your page, you want your page to tell a sort of story, and my story is going to go from thinking about different shapes, different colours. I'm going to try and fit lots of ideas on one page. Okay, sometimes you might want to work back and forth, sometimes you might to take a journey through it. It is really up to you how you're going to do it. So I'm going to break there and get some equipment, and then we'll get on. Okay, right, so the first thing I'm going to do is have a think about the shape of my birds, and you can see I was sketching some there. We've been working, and I'm going to start drawing just in this top corner some simple little designs. Okay, so I hope you can see here I'm just trying out some little ideas. There's some really simple little bird designs. Doesn't mean this is what mine's going to look like in the end. I know they've got to have a head and a body, and I'm experimenting. What you're kind of looking for is something that makes you happy, something that kind of accidentally, but with a bit of skill and observation, works really well. So I was looking at a pigeon, and it had a really long fat body, almost like a bottle with a little beak on. And I thought, oh, would that make a funnier bird? Would that make a cute little design? Okay, so now I'm going to add a few little notes around my thing. I'm going to put the words in of the birds I've done. They're just written around. It doesn't matter. They don't always have to be written in a formal way. You can, it's quite a nice thing to do, is if you're a little bit worried about writing on your page, it's quite nice to add little pieces of paper to your sketchbook. So maybe cut out a little piece that you're going to stick on, and then I might put, I like my pigeon sketch. And I'm going to put a reason, because I think the reason I like it is because he looks a little strange, like he's doing something, because it has a lot of personality. Or character even. And the aim of this activity was to sort of come up with quirky little illustrations and characters. Your purpose might be different, remember. So I didn't stick that down before I wrote on it. I might have wanted to cut a bit more off. I might have wanted to do something else to it. I'm going to keep working on this first little sketch area, and I'll speed that up. Okay, so you can see I've added in some notes about colours. I've got my thing about which one I think I like the best. I'm actually quite torn now between the crow and the pigeon. When I found out that I liked the character of this one, I added more character to the other ones. I had them doing more things, and they've made me smile quite a lot. That's because today I'm working on a sketchbook page for an illustration. So my purpose is to make something that's readable and entertaining. So that's why I've chosen that. If I was to have something that was to be moody or realistic, then I'd have to be doing a more observational drawing to start off with. Okay, so I'm feeling very much like my sketchbook page. I either need to go and work over here or here next. This feels like where my final decision is going to come in. And I want to look at two things. I want to look at colour, and I want to look at developing this design a little bit as well. So I'm going to start off with some colour bits up here and just try a few strips for my pigeon and go for a bit of an arrow. Only do things if you can make them look good. So if I draw my arrow and make it look good, it looks great on my page. If it's just going to be a scruffy box for no reason, it has no purpose going there, does it? Remember, you're trying to tell a story, but also work out what you're doing with your art. So, mine's going to be a collage bird, and I've got a whole load of pieces of paper here that I'm going to cut out little sections of and stick them on. I'm going to try and make a little sort of sample of what kind of colours I've got, and then I'm going to write some little notes underneath which ones I think will work well. I'm going to speed that up. Okay, so I hope you can see here I've gone and got a whole load of different collage papers. Hope you can see them flash across. I used some photographs, some paper I'd had some painting or some printing on, some origami paper, some see-through papers, and then I've written down what I've used, and on my little green box I've said I've used these because these patterns and the textures look like the different feathers on the bird, and I'm particularly keen on this bright red when all the other colours are quite natural. One of the photographs I used was of trees where the bird lives, and I quite like that idea. And the rest are quite natural greens and blues and greys to make my pigeon, but I love that little pop of orange to make him stand out. When I've done colours like that out of paper, the other thing I want to experiment with is making my own papers. So I'm going to do a little bit of colour work here using paint and crayons to see what different textures I might be able to come up with myself. And I'm going to speed that up too. Okay? Okay, so hopefully you can see here I've had a go at lots of different textures that I could make myself and then cut out to use for my collage. Got some wax crayon with paint over it. I've taken the colours from up here, look. The stuff I was inspired by up here, I've tried to use the same colours in my experiments. That's wax crayon with watercolour again, 2 colours of Sharpie, 2 colours of crayon, pencil with watercolour over it, pen with watercolour over it, 2 kinds of pastel, chalk and oil mixed together, and that Sharpie with little black dots all over the top. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to annotate those. I'm going to write next to them what they are so I can remember, and then over here I'm going to say what I like about each one, because I might use these techniques but with different colours, or these colours with different techniques to finish my final thing. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I've done that now. I've labelled all of my experiments, and what I've written here, it says I love the Sharpie cross-hatching, which is this one, because I think where I've used the same 2 colours together adds texture, but it's still all green. It's not just a pattern made from colours. I'm going to use all of these ideas, but I'm going to try them all with just the shades of colour like that, unless I need that little pop of bright to really make my pigeon look happy. Okay, I've got one area of this page left. Now, it depends on your project, how you structure your page. You may have one page that's entirely sketching, then have a page that's looking at found objects, then have a page that's looking at this. You could use a whole page for each of these and go into a lot more detail. I haven't got any artist's work here. It's really nice sometimes to have a go at copying some of those. You don't have to use the stuck-on bits of paper. Maybe you draw on the stuck-on bits and you write on the page. Just want to show you how free you can be with it, but also how well you should use your space. Your sketchbook should be literally bursting with ideas. So over here, as I would probably use my last page or the last area at the end of a little session like this, I'm going to show you some of my final decisions. Now that doesn't mean I probably would go on and maybe have a page where I drew the same pigeon several times. I might fit a couple in here now. And then I would start adding a few little patches of colour just to show in my final piece what I was intending to do. Okay, so I'm going to go on doing that now. I'll put another little box in saying why I've made the decisions that I've made. All right, I'm going to speed that up for you. Okay, so I'm going to call that sketchbook page finished. There's a tiny little bit of space there if I wanted to squeeze in something extra. And sometimes you might find something you need to put back and go back and think, oh, it isn't clear what I meant there. In the final area, I drew 4 more of my little pigeons. I used the same elements as I had before and tried them in different positions. I would still say they're probably not going to be my final one. I might use elements of them. But that's the whole idea of experimenting. I've labelled them with what I've chosen. It's given me a chance to see how different bits would work, but it isn't a fully finished piece. And anybody looking at this page, I think, could see where we've started and made a decision. We've looked at different papers, different colours. We've tried some of our own, and then we've experimented with what they might look like on the bird. So your sketchbook page should tell a story. It should be individual to you as well. And there should be, for art, a fair amount of note-taking and writing. And not always saying what you like. You can always say what you don't like, what you think you might do next, plan your next thing. Sometimes even collecting words around a theme. So if I'd got lots of words around birds written down the middle, like feathers, beak, even decorating those would inspire me to come up with more ideas. So I hope that comes together well and that helps. I will maybe try and do some more sketchbook ones in a few days. Cool. Thank you. Have fun.